Light leaks.
Light leaks are pretty cool. There's a lot you can do with them, and I don't use them nearly enough. A light leak is basically what happens when you have extra light leaking in from the side of the frame. This will typically be very blurred and abstract.
Doing this for real, in camera, is called lens whacking, and can give some really neat results. But it is kinda dangerous since it exposes your sensor to the environment, which could be dusty or rainy, which makes me think that a fully glass or clear plastic speed booster or macro adapter type thing that deliberately lets light in from the edges but protects the sensor could be a really cool product. Or maybe you could 3D print something like that. Usually though, light leaks are made separately, using either a lens focused on infinity or no lens at all, and then shining a bunch of random stuff into the camera in a dark room. The resulting video can then be composited on top of any other video using a blend mode, usually screen or add. Light leaks can evoke a feeling of nostalgia, of carefree summer days, road tripping with young, attractive friends in a Volkswagen bus, and nights spent watching fireworks at the carnival. You know, that kind of thing. They're also kind of dreamlike or otherworldly, and I think they can work really well for certain slow motion shots. Light leaks are also reminiscent of the old days of film photography, where amateurs would accidentally expose their film to extra light while taking the photos, or by mishandling the film negatives or making mistakes during film development. Light leaks on film are called film burn, which can also be done on purpose, selectively, which is what the burn tool in Photoshop is named after, by the way. But it doesn't have to be nostalgia-themed. I've seen light leaks used in horror, like cave exploration gone wrong stuff. I saw blue ones used in this documentary about Antarctica. I've seen them used in sports recaps, glam B-roll, documentaries, music videos, and so on. Light leaks can be used as a continuous effect, which can get annoying, or as a quick transition. Unlike most of the transitions I've been talking about, I actually think it's best not to use a built-in transition for your light leaks, because those are artificially generated. Artificial light leaks can look good if they're made with care, but a lot of the ones I've seen just look terrible. These are not real light leaks, these are not real light leaks, and these are not real light leaks. So don't use stuff that looks like any of that. Now you know, the best light leaks are the real ones, filmed for real with a real camera. Just make sure you match the frame rate of the underlying footage. In the bin, right-click on the light leak or leaks, go to Modify, Interpret Footage, and assume the same frame rate as your time base. Only then should you drag it onto the timeline. I've got a whole video about mixing frame rates that you can watch, so don't screw this up or it'll look stupid. Of course, I did that and found an instant exception. With these particular light leaks, because they were crafted frame by frame and designed for 24 FPS, if I speed them up to 30, they look too fast, in my opinion. So I would only do the frame rate trick for those slower light leaks where they move across the frame and you would see stuttering happening if you didn't. You also might need to add cross dissolves in case your light leaks don't disappear fast enough. Also, don't forget that you can easily change the colors of your light leaks by doing some simple hue versus hue. And if you want to make them more intense, you can double or even triple the number of layers used. Even good-looking light leaks can be overdone or overused, like in this shot, which is more light leak and lens flare than actual shot. Good light leaks generally have fairly simple motion. It should not look like something is just being held up to the camera and wiggled around.
Also, light leaks generally do not work if you're trying to use them to transition smaller objects or text inside of the frame. A light leak is by definition a full frame effect. It doesn't make sense for it to just affect a smaller part of the frame. Got it?
Where to get it? You can find free light leaks all over the internet, some of which are actually decent quality, but generally you get what you pay for. Personally, I have 150 light leaks that I downloaded from Video Blocks several years ago, and I totally forgot about them until now. But looking at them again, they're not very good. I came across a channel called Think Make Push while writing this tutorial, and these are, no doubt, the best light leaks I've ever seen. So if you want light leaks, this is the place to go. And some of them are free. And if you use my affiliate code, I'm just kidding, I didn't bother to get one. However, have you ever heard the saying, the best camera is the one you have with you? Well, the same goes for light leaks. Despite everything I just said about how real light leaks are superior, it's so easy to just drag on a light leak transition from the effects panel, if you have one, and call it done. I've done that more times than I care to admit. Sometimes I put down a marker that basically says, replace with real light leak if you have time later, and then I never do. Film Impact's light leak is pretty good, considering it's artificially generated. I wish the randomizer Surprise Me button worked better, but it usually gives a crappy result, so I usually just fiddle around with the existing parameters of the demo transition until I have something that looks new enough. I really haven't bothered to learn how best to use all these parameters. I think several good-looking presets would help a lot. Maxon Universe's light leak transition is called uni.half-life. Half-light. And it's below average. There are several leaks to choose from, most of which don't look very good, and you can flip them horizontally, vertically, or both, and you can change the opacity. You can also try to change the hue, but without any blending modes to choose from, I don't think it looks good to do so. Now, look at this one from Boris FX Continuum. It's ridiculous. I know you have a ton of options for slowing it down, changing the blinkiness, and so on, which is great, and now this does look a lot better than the default settings, but ultimately, it still looks pretty bad to me. Also, don't use Premiere's VR light leaks transition. In fact, don't use any of the VR transitions for a non-VR video. I hate it when people do this. It looks so stupid, especially for something like chromatic aberration. This stuff is intended for a 360-degree video. It is not designed for a rectangular video, which is why it's so stupid that they don't have chromatic aberration for rectangular video. That's why people do this. As for sound effects, the ones from Think Make Push are really good. Again, the best I've ever experienced. So you can either buy them or just listen to the videos for inspiration before crafting your own sound effects. I really like the use of the digital camera autofocus beeps, but it's not thematically appropriate for all content, so be careful with those. You just watched one chapter from a longer transitions tutorial, which you can also watch right now for free from the link below, or just click this little thingy on screen right now. The tutorial covers nearly every useful transition and every transitions vendor. I'll see you there.